This is News 8 Now, this morning.
It's pretty gutted in there right now. Structure's pretty sound, the roof is still pretty sound. So our crews did a real good job, knockdown job on this. Having a big crew like this, having all the departments here, really, I mean, that shows what Vernon County can do.
I think it's a very good idea to recognize the good job the MTU does and the great service they provide, not only for the residents of the north side, but the city and the area, because it goes beyond, the cross.
They don't really know what they're getting into when they start, so they're a little like, I know I should be doing something for myself when it comes to self-defense. I know I should know some things, but then they get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea it was going to be this good, and I should have done it sooner.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for watching News 8 Now. I'm Dua Esrar.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is February 1st.
Already. Can you believe that?
First of the month.
I know, it's flying by already. We're on to the second month of the year.
Can you believe it's even 2023? Honestly, where is the time going?
It's
but
just flying by.
hopefully we can kick off the month with some good news. Derek, come on.
All right, so here's the good news. No wind chill advisories this time, but it's still very cold, bitter cold.
Darn.
Low temperatures and low wind chill. So let's get right to those maps, Dua. And you can see that we are currently waking up into single-digit readings here as we head out the door this morning. And there's actually some spots here, too, that are waking up to readings that are below zero, such as Ladysmith to the north in Rusk County. You guys are currently at 14 below zero. Meanwhile, Eau Claire there at 7 below. And those current wind chill factors are similar in some spots, but there are a lot of locations there, as you can see on your screen, that are well below that zero mark here this morning for those feel-like temperatures, though. In the meantime, we got a mostly clear sky here on the satellite and radar shot, and we are expected to continue to remain in those conditions. We're seeing lots of sunshine, mostly sunny, and just only a few clouds to work with today. Now, we're going to stay into the single-digit readings through 9 o'clock, and then we'll start to warm up into the teens as we head into the 11 o'clock hour here this morning, followed by teens and 20-degree readings for this afternoon. Coming up in a bit, we'll take a look at that full weather forecast. We'll talk about more wind chill factors here in just a bit. Dua?
All right, let's get to some news this morning. We're learning more information about a break-in that left 2 people injured in Chippewa Falls. The Chippewa Falls District Attorney officially charged Elijah Johnson and Jeremiah Mackey with armed robbery, substantial battery with intent of bodily harm, and use of a dangerous weapon. They were also charged with false imprisonment, criminal damage to property, and theft. According to a criminal complaint, the 2 broke through the door into an apartment where 2 victims were living. Johnson used a gun to hit both of the victims and threatened to shoot them. Mackey tried to take one of the victims' phones as they were calling 911. A third person was also there. Everyone who was charged admitted to being involved. Fire crews from multiple towns worked together to put out a house fire in Stoddard Tuesday night. The fire started shortly before 6 p.m. at a house on Lake Road right near the river. When firefighters arrived, there were flames coming out of the windows. Crews from Stoddard, Coon Valley, Shelby, and Genoa worked together to put the fire out quickly. Firefighters said the house is still structurally sound.
It's pretty gutted in there right now. Structure's pretty sound, the roof is still pretty sound. So our crews did a real good job, knockdown job on this. Having a big crew like this, having all the departments here, really, I mean, that shows what Vernon County can do.
The chief of the Stoddard Fire Department said they found firearms in the house, but were fortunately in a different room than the fire. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. A lacrosse tradition that's existed for nearly half a century is back to teach women the art of self-defense. Three Rivers Martial Arts' next session of the WISE program starts next week. The 8-week course is aimed to help women defend themselves in any situation, including a sexual assault. The Academy's lead instructor says more than 5,000 women have graduated the WISE program. She says self-defense is something everyone needs to learn.
They don't really know what they're getting into when they start, so they're a little like, I know I should be doing something for myself when it comes to self-defense. I know I should know some things, but then they get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea it was going to be this good, and I should have done it sooner.
Mims says the youngest ages she's taught are from 10 and the oldest range to 80. There's about 8 open spots left. If you want to register, we'll have more information on how to do that on news8000.com. La Crosse is celebrating a civil rights legend's birthday in a special way. This Saturday is Rosa Parks' birthday, and throughout the week, La Crosse MTU will honor it with their Transit Equity Days. Community members can ride buses for free through Saturday, and local politicians will ride along to raise awareness about the civil right to transportation. A member of the La Crosse Transit Area Advocates Group says having access to public transportation is just as important as the right to water and shelter.
What kind of a community would we be if we say, sorry, if you can't get to the doctor, that's too bad, and leave it at that? I really do think that a community has an obligation to ensure that its citizens can get to places they need to go.
Representative Ralph Geary had a seat on one of MTU's many buses today. He says he looks forward to Transit Equity Day every year to help spotlight an important asset to the community.
I think it's a very good idea to recognize the good job the MTU does and the great service they provide, not only for the residents of the north side, but the city and the area, because it goes beyond, La Crosse.
The city provides rides to Vernon, Monroe, and Crawford counties through the SMRT bus, benefiting whoever may need it, no matter what stage of their life they're in.
Transportation for people who live in rural areas helps everyone. It helps the communities save money, helps older people stay in their homes or their communities if they can get a public transportation to go to an appointment or shopping or whatever. Then they can stay home. They don't have to move to town. It helps young people be safer getting to school or getting to work, finding work.
Today, a Zoom chat will be held from 2 to 3 p.m. sharing information about the SMRT bus, shared ride services, and other MTU offerings. SMRT buses will be free all day today. It can be hard to get out and get moving, especially in the wintertime, but UWL students are hoping to help elder community members stay active. Starting next week, you can walk with an eagle. AARP is collaborating with a class for a once-a-week stroll with people on campus. Those who sign up will be paired with a student. An assistant professor says this will help benefit everyone.
We know that walking is great for our physical, mental, cognitive, but we also know that we can also increase our social connections. So connect to the campus community, connect to our students, and also gives our students an opportunity to kind of apply what they learn in the classroom.
The first walk happens on February 7th in the Student Union. All of the walks will be indoors until the weather gets warmer. We have a link to register on our website, news8000.com. The city of La Crosse is cutting their warming shelter hours short. The last day of the shelter at the Southside Neighborhood Center is today instead of Thursday, February 2nd. If you or someone you know needs help finding shelter, call 211 or the Reach Center. That number is on your screen. Still ahead on your morning news, the CDC's latest investigation on a brand of eye drops that could cause vision loss. We'll explain that and why your favorite beer might cost you a little bit more than usual. That's all coming up after the break. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. You normally wouldn't see pictures of Mars and then think about a cuddly stuffed animal, but photos of the surface might give you that feeling. People are saying this rock formation looks like the face of a teddy bear. The head is actually a surface fracture that stretches nearly 1¼ miles, and the eyes are formed by 2 craters. The snout is a collapsed structure that's possibly volcanic or a mud vent, leading to this image of a teddy bear. Well, don't go anywhere. More News 8 Now this morning after the break.
Well, temperatures this morning are bitterly cold yet again, but the good news is that there's no wind chill advisories though. But as you can see, our temperatures behind me are well into the single-digit readings, and there are some spots out there too that are well below zero. And you can see our wind chill factors here are currently reading anywhere into those positive single digits, but negative single digits here as well in some spots, such as Eau Claire. You're currently waking up to 7 below zero this morning. We'll get a check now on your zone forecast, and you'll see that La Crosse County today will mainly be into the 20s come this afternoon. As we head a little bit further towards the south, we'll be looking at highs reaching around 21 degrees today if you're in Viroqua. Now, as we go back to our central zones, we're looking at highs into the low to mid 20s today with 24 in Arcadia come this afternoon. And as those north zones show, we will be looking at highs into those upper teens to low 20s here. As far as that schoolcast goes, heading out the door this morning, 5 degrees, clear skies, 16, mostly sunny for the lunch hour, and in the afternoon, 23. And skies overall are looking mostly sunny and clear. Dog walking conditions, looking at clear skies here to start us off this morning, and then we will be looking at mainly sunny skies continuing for your afternoon and also heading into the early evening part of the day here too. And coming up in a bit, we'll take a look at that full weather forecast. We'll break down some more cooler weather that could be on the way.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is urging healthcare providers and consumers to stop using EzraCare artificial tear eye drops. The CDC is investigating that at least 50 infections in 11 states have led to permanent vision loss, hospitalization, and even 1 death. The CDC says people should stop using EzraCare artificial tears while their investigation continues. Black taxpayers are 3 times more likely to be audited by the IRS than any other U.S. taxpayer. According to a study by leading economists, the authors say their findings do not suggest bias from IRS agents who don't know the race of those they audit. The findings instead document discrimination in computer algorithms the agency used to determine who to audit. Some discrimination appears to come from the decision of relying on automated systems in the face of budget cuts. The Super Bowl is less than 2 weeks away, and if you're planning to host, then you are in luck because 2 party food options have yet to be affected by inflation. It's chicken wings and guacamole. The wings cost around $2.70 per pound due to a better supply compared to last year's $3.38. Meanwhile, avocado prices are down 20% from last year. Your favorite beer might cost you a little bit more. The price of a key ingredient that you might not even think about is skyrocketing. News 8 Now's Emily Haugen explains how a local brewery is handling that spike.
Once you think you've seen it all, right?
Joe Kachaver has been in the business of brewing for 24 years.
Supply chain disruptions are a real thing.
Hitting everything from aluminum cans to the ingredients used to make a pint.
All the years I've been brewing, I've never seen barley prices higher than they are in the last 18 months or so.
Now, some prices are set to stabilize.
We did have a good crop year in North America for barley, wheat, and cereal products in general.
Other parts of the industry are still causing bottlenecks.
Since the pandemic, Pearl Street has seen success in stores. Behind the bar, not so much.
They're not back to where they want to be, and if they're not doing good, we're not doing as good as we'd like to be.
Beyond slower bar traffic, low carbon dioxide levels are another blow.
They're going to be adding CO2 to get that effervescence that we expect in a beer.
Brewers Association economist Bart Watson says low CO2 levels date back to the start of the pandemic.
So oil prices plummeted, so a lot of ethanol plants weren't profitable to run, so they stopped running them, which meant we didn't recapture that CO2.
Low supply hits everyone, but Watson says smaller breweries are hit the hardest because larger companies are first in line. Recently, Pearl Street upped their prices.
We kind of held out as long as we could on that, and prices went up a little bit, but nothing real significant to the consumer.
As the year begins, Kachaver is optimistic.
Things are looking pretty good, and like I said, short of any other major pitfalls, we should be okay.
Economic data from the Federal Reserve shows that in the last year, carbon dioxide costs have jumped significantly. Pearl Street now is finding ways to work around that shortage and says that they'll keep serving their customers.
Well, this morning we are off to a quiet start, as you can see behind me from City Cam 8, but we are looking at another cold start as current temperature is around 5 degrees here this morning and a feel-like temperature of -7 degrees. Our winds here are out of the south, around 11 miles an hour in La Crosse, but meanwhile to the north in Eau Claire, you're at 7 below zero for both your temperature and also your feel-like temperature, and we are looking at nice calm winds here to work with this morning too. Current temperatures across the rest of the area look like this with single-digit readings, but there are some areas like Black River Falls down south into Sparta this morning that are below zero. And we are looking at wind chill factors this morning below zero in a lot of locations here too this morning still. Now, no wind chill advisories are in effect here this morning, but they are still going to be rather low here throughout much of the morning though. Heading into the afternoon, we will be above zero with wind chill factors well into the teens come this afternoon later today. And that same trend will continue as we head into the early evening hours and even into overnight too. We're looking at wind chill factors well above zero here for the most part before we talk about what's going to happen into tomorrow, because we're going to be watching a cold front move through, and that's going to bring in some cooler air and also some stronger breezes. Therefore, our wind chills will feel like the temperatures will be into the single-digit readings below zero here yet again, unfortunately, to work with. So we'll have to watch that here as we head into Thursday. But 16 degrees, mostly sunny skies for the noon hour, 22 and mostly sunny at 4, and then we're at 16 with mostly clear skies as we head into the early evening hours here. And high temperatures today are expected to reach the mid-20s, so much warmer compared to what we've been seeing these last few days here across the Coulee region, with clear skies expected throughout the morning here. We are watching some clouds that could develop across portions of our northern and central zones for some spots. Those clouds will clear out though as we head into the early evening hours, and skies are looking mostly clear for the most part throughout the night here too. We're watching that front moving in, dragging in some cloud cover though as we head into early tomorrow morning. And for the most part, yeah, we'll probably keep those clouds around in place across much of the area here too. Let's talk about this cold front though, because we are still under high pressure here to our south, but that system's going to move away. So now our attention will turn to that cold front, and that's going to move in here as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Behind it, we're expected a lot of cold air yet again to move through the upper Midwest, including us here in the Coulee region, which is going to drag in that cooler air to allow our temperatures to drop down here as we head into Friday. But we are still watching the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, because as we head into the weekend, after this brief cool down on Friday, look at what happens here. Our highs will be warming up into the 30s as we head into Saturday and Sunday. Now, early next week, our highs will continue to remain on the mild side, with even a high forecast of 38 degrees come Monday. There is a chance, though, of some rain and snow for Monday and Tuesday, however. Stay tuned, though. We're back with much more news and weather still to come on News 8 Now this morning. We are sending you a break, though, with a look at what happened on this day in history for February 1st.
Welcome to the Blitz. High school hoops are heating up as we closed out January last night. We'll start with the best in the Coulee Conference clashing with the best in the MVC. Let's go to Aquinas High School, West Salem in town. Panthers atop the Coulee Conference. Blue Golds, leaders of the MVC this season. Early on, Aquinas red hot from downtown. Pick it up first half. Autumn Pasale feeling it. The senior knocking down back-to-back threes. Blue Golds storm out of the gate and take a 10-point lead. Aquinas just getting warmed up later in the half. Macy Donarski takes it straight to the cup for 2 of her 16. Blue Golds up a dozen. Panthers trying to claw back off the steal. Brinley Kelly finding Sam Niemeyer down low. The sophomore banks it off the window for 2. West Salem closing the gap, but Aquinas answers right back. Donarski hooking up with Sammy Davis for the baby jumper. The freshman with a game-high 21 on the night. Blue Golds cannot be stopped. Aquinas improves to 18-1 on the season as the Blue Golds blow past West Salem 64-44. 2 of the best boys teams in the Coulee facing off as West Salem travels to GET. Early first half, GET's Will Mack drives to the free throw line, pulls up for the 14-footer. We're tied early on. Red Hawk fans loving it. West Salem goes on a 23-3 run, though. From there, capped off by this Joe Sullivan 3. Panthers go up 20. GET looking to find their flow. A long pass sets up Cody Schmitz on the baseline. He goes off the glass for 2, but West Salem will not let up. Carson Kepnick spots up from the top of the arc and knocks down the triple. All Panthers as they get the win 81-44. The Luther Knights in action at home against Black River Falls. First half action, BRF's Trey Cowley dishes to Noah Kubaski, lays it up and in. Tigers with the early lead. Knights respond. Isaiah Switzenberg makes some moves to get the open shot. We're all tied up. Back come the Tigers, though. Evan Voss drives to the basket, splits the defenders for the bucket, and the 2-point lead. Luther takes off from there. Gabe Hulskamp hits the three-pointer. Knights go up 5, and they pull away as they get the win, 71-37. Over at Logan High School, we've got a border battle as the Rangers take on Winona Senior. First half, Logan's Kaya DePaulo gets the rebound and the putback. Rangers trailing. Later on, Winona on the inbound. Marin Keller to Eliva Bell for the bucket, plus the foul. Windhawks go up 16, and this one was all Winona. The 8th grader, Brittany Lee, banking in the 3 here. Windhawks go on to win it, 67-44. In Holman, the Vikings hosting Menominee. Early in this one, Caden Wilbur finds the sharpshooting Seacamp from beyond the arc. Money, Holman out in front. Then right before the half, Drew Tangblad finds Landon Ellis under the basket. That one's good. Vikings go on to get the win, 73-59. Down the hall on the main stage of the Fine Arts Center, Holman taking on GET Melman for their pin down hunger duel, where they helped raise over $2,000 for Holman's Hope. Start at 195, GET's Mitch Berg, the shot and a nice takedown right to the back. Then later in the period, Berg would turn his opponent one more time. That's good enough for the pin. The Titans starting this one out on top. Next match at 220, Holman's Ron White fired up, locking in the headlock, getting the throw right to the back. Only a matter of time before he settled in for the pin. The crowd was all pumped up, but the Titans came out of the gates hot. At heavyweight, Cisco Jimenez comes up big for the Titans, completes the headlock, seconds later gets the pin. The Titans get the win 34-33 with a huge pin on the last match of the night. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Breaking overnight, rail stations across England will grind to a halt today as rail workers take to the picket lines on one of the biggest strikes Britain has faced in decades. Thousands of train drivers will go on a 2-day strike after rejecting a pay offer, the latest in months of travel disruption caused by the long-running dispute over pay. Unions hope to win pay raises that better reflect double-digit inflation. Hong Kong is now criminalizing CBD as a dangerous drug. This move puts CBD on the same level as heroin and fentanyl in the city. Just 2 years ago, the chemical found in marijuana plants was popular in Hong Kong, but new legislation that went into effect today states that possession and consumption of any amount of CBD is punishable by 7 years in prison. The manufacturing, importing, or exporting of CBD is also punishable by life in prison. January was National Blood Donor Month, and on the last day of January, Mayo Clinic Health System doctors raised awareness about their patients who need blood donations. Blood donors save the lives of people with many conditions, but a quarter of the nation's donated blood supply goes to cancer patients. The nation needs more blood donors as only 3% of Americans regularly donate. If you're on the fence about giving blood, Mayo Clinic doctors say the community's help is always needed.
We can give people a lot of manufactured products, medications and things, fluids and things like that, but we cannot manufacture blood. That is something that we rely on the community to give us, to be able to give to our patients.
Every unit of blood helps to donate. You can contact a local blood donation program or the American Red Cross at the numbers on your screen. New guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics want medical caregivers to think differently when treating teens in the hospital. Right now, 20% of all U.S. pediatric hospital admissions are teens between 11 and 20. The guidelines emphasize hospitals prioritizing and helping teens feel educated and prepared. A child life specialist with La Crosse's Mayo Clinic Health System says it's a policy their medical professionals have already started to use.
We all need to be aware of how to speak their language and making sure they understand what's happening to their body and they're learning how to cope with it in a healthy way.
She says hospitals can provide coping items for teens who come in for surgery and maintain a recreational space appropriate for teen activities. It's a yearly battle Midwesterners face during the winter, the cold air and your dry skin. Cold, dry air can damage any unprotected skin, especially on the hands and face. And as your skin dehydrates, experts say your hands are at risk for developing cracks and cuts that could lead to potential infections. Experts say protective winter clothing like gloves is essential, but when you're indoors, they say you should be moisturizing to prevent any future cracks or dry irritation.
These products only last for a few hours at maximum, so you really need to hydrate and moisturize at minimum 2 to 3 times daily.
Dr. Davis says if your skin is raw, you want to start off with ointments. Then when your skin improves, use a hypoallergenic, fragrance-free cream or lotion to provide enough moisture to prevent further problems. An artificial intelligence program used to help students pass law school exams has professors wondering just how smart it is. Adam Duxter shows us the results, which are surprising professors and students alike.
Professor Dan Schwartz had his doubts.
Questions that we ask on law school exams are not, tell me when this law was passed, or not the types of things you could ask Google.
But as he graded his students' exams, he genuinely couldn't tell which one.
It organizes the answers.
Was a student.
First, Darla's liability for David's injury.
Or the AI program ChatGPT.
This tool is amazingly powerful.
Powerful enough to pass with a C+.
It's a passing grade at a really very good law school. Our students are really excellent. And it's a passing grade to very difficult questions.
It's all over Twitter, it's all over social media. Everybody, is posting about it in group chats, stuff like that.
Students like Brian Gatter couldn't believe it.
The part that almost surprised me is that it only got a C+, right?
Every show like the Jetsons, that's the whole point, is that we're supposed to get replaced by robots at some point.
I felt fine because it was on the low end of the curves.
Schwartz says now it's on teachers to make sure it's not a tool used to cheat.
It has immense power to, I think, revolutionize many fields.
But rather think of ways it could be used for good.
AI can't just write a brief. It can't just, write a will. But what it can do is be a useful tool.
Professor Schwartz says in the long run, artificial intelligence likely won't end up replacing attorneys, but helping them. As for if it could replace someone like me, a reporter.
Well, I don't know about that. We'll have to see.
ChatGPT is easy to use. Users simply type in their text and receive the information they want. However, ChatGPT does require users to create accounts first. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz signed the right to abortion and other reproductive health care rights into Minnesota law on Tuesday. The bill makes sure the state's existing abortion protections stay in place, even if the state Supreme Court changes them in the future. After the midterm elections, lawmakers rushed the bill in response to the United States Supreme Court decision to reverse Roe v. Wade. Minnesota is the first state legislature to organize protections this year. Opponents of this measure say it's extreme and it leaves the state with no restrictions on abortion at any stage of the pregnancy. A lawsuit is aiming to keep 2 referendum questions off of Wisconsin's April ballot. The questions will ask voters about an amendment that will allow judges to consider more factors when setting bail and ask voters about requiring people on welfare to look for work. The lawsuit, filed by criminal justice advocacy groups, claims the questions weren't submitted in time to the correct election officials. Wisconsin Republicans may be willing to spend more state dollars to address PFAS contamination. The state's Senate Natural Resources Committee hosted an informational hearing to determine potential cleanup costs. Communities across the state, including the town of Campbell residents, are dealing with contaminated water from chemicals found in firefighting foam and non-stick cookware, as well as other everyday items. That committee's chairperson says he wants to educate the legislature's Finance Committee on the cost to prevent the spread. Governor Evers said in his State of the State address that clean water would be a top priority. He called for $100 million to use for improved testing, awareness, and on-the-ground contamination response. Many of us start to slow down as we age, but a 100-year-old in Madison, Wisconsin resident seems to be gaining momentum. After living in 6 countries and raising 3 children, Clarice Wurtzel says she's never been one to stay idle. Grace Alt shares Clarice's tips with us.
Well, I've never sat.
100-year-old Clarice Wurtzel has lived in 6 countries, raised 3 daughters, and doesn't plan to slow down anytime soon.
If you ask me what inspires me most, it's all my activities. It's no one special thing.
When she first moved to Capitol Lake's retirement home nearly 20 years ago with her husband, Wurtzel got involved right away.
When I first moved here, of course, I was healthy enough, so I got involved in all kinds of things like the Welcome Committee, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
Her sight is limited now, so she's no longer on the welcoming committee, but Wurtzel is committed to her health.
I do my own laundry. I prepare a lot of my own food. The physical therapy department gave me some exercises, which I do faithfully twice a day.
And being part of the Capitol Lakes community.
I think you have to interact with people in order to maintain your health and be a part of the community. I think that's the only advice I can give. Don't stay cooped up.
While staying active has been a major secret to Wurtzel's success, what lights her up the most is being able to spend time with her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
It makes me so happy to see them and watch the children grow. How many people can say that they can watch their great-grandchildren grow from little ones?
Wurtzel sees family twice a week and considers their time together one of her greatest blessings.
I guess it means that I'm never unhappy.
Wurtzel will be 101 at the end of April and is proud to wear her age as a badge of honor.
Well, this morning we are waking up to yet another bitter cold start here, but as we take you into your day today, we are expected to rise our temperatures into the mid-20s, 25 to be exact in La Crosse today, under mostly sunny skies. Now, it still will be a little cool out there, though, with south-southwest winds to work with at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, as we take you into tonight, our temperatures will drop to about 11 degrees. Still looking at mostly clear skies to work with, though. Seasonable conditions as well. Southwest winds still in place at 5 to 10 miles an hour to work with throughout the night. Now for your DriveCast, those of you getting ready to head out the door this morning, we are looking at sunshine here for the morning, followed by your lunch hour looking at mostly sunny skies, and then taking you into this evening, we are still looking mainly clear to work with no precipitation or wind chill factors really, or at least big wind chill factors to work with. And speaking of that, we'll talk more about that too in the full weather forecast, because there is another big cool down here on the way, which we'll get to in just a bit. But coming up in our Buzz Report, the milestones being made at this year's Super Bowl. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, this morning we are waking up to yet another bitter cold start here in the Coulee region. City Cam 8 looking quiet, but the temperatures, though, are screaming cold yet again. 5 degrees, and we're looking at feel-like temperatures of 7 below zero as you head out the door this morning. Now, meanwhile, to the north in Eau Claire, it's much colder. In fact, we're below zero at -7 degrees. Visibility, though, is at around 4 miles for those of you getting ready for that morning commute to the north. Now, meanwhile, our current conditions across the area as far as temperatures go, mainly into the single digits. There are some spots like Black River Falls and Sparta that are below zero this morning. Now, as we get to your wind chills, you can see that we are actually below zero in some spots this morning. Now, we will warm up those wind chills here a little bit as we head into the late morning hours once we get more of that south to southwesterly wind motion in place. And in fact, you can see by the time we hit 3 p.m. today, our temperatures, our wind chill factors, that is, will be warming up well above zero with wind chill factors mainly into the teens here this afternoon. And really, we can say the same thing as we head into this evening, maybe slightly cooler with feel-like temperatures into the single digits, though. Now, as we take you into overnight, more of the same can be said, but it's really not until tomorrow morning where we start to see some changes yet again. Coming from the north as some colder air moves in, that's going to drop down the wind chill factors, especially as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Once all that cold air finishes to move through, we'll be looking at wind chills well below zero in many spots out there. So keep in mind here, we'll have to watch out here for that as we head into Thursday. But clear skies here for the forecast this morning. 12 o'clock, mostly sunny, 16 degrees, 22 degrees by 4 o'clock, still looking at lots of sun. And by 8 p.m., we drop down to 16 under mostly clear weather conditions. Meantime, our high temperatures today will be mainly into those low to mid 20s come this afternoon, with only a few clouds clouds out there to work with here this morning, and as you can see throughout much of the morning, skies will look mostly clear. There is a little bit of cloud cover that may sneak in here as we headed to late this afternoon, but mainly to the north, and then that's going to quickly move out as we head into this evening. Then we got clear skies all night long here tonight, which is favorable to keep our temperatures on the cool side. And as you can see, by Thursday morning, once that front moves through, we're still looking at some cloudy weather conditions sort of kind of moving in, and we'll kind of keep the cloud cover there in place as well as we head into Thursday afternoon. So our attention is going to start to turn to this cold front to the north here, as it's expected to move through the upper Midwest, including us here in the Coulee region by tomorrow afternoon. That's going to send in another wave of some much colder air for us to work with to briefly cool us down significantly by Friday. But after that, we are going to be warming up well into the mild side. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook still shows that we are going to be looking at much more milder and warmer conditions to work with, especially this weekend, as highs will climb into the low to mid 30s. And then we're going to stay into those 30s as we head into next week, with a slight chance of rain and snow on Monday and Tuesday.
The man nicknamed the father of Peeps has died at the age of 98. He got his nickname from mass producing the process of making Peeps marshmallow candy, which has been around since the early 1950s. A fun fact, Bourne also sped up the production of hot tamales and Mike and Ike candies. This year's Super Bowl between the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs will make history in more ways than one. It's the first time in history the two black quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, will play in the Super Bowl. In addition, Chiefs player Travis Kelce and Eagles player Jason Kelce will become the first brothers to play each other in a Super Bowl. They face each other on February 12th in Glendale, Arizona. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are back for a fourth installment in the Bad Boys series. The duo broke the news on Smith's Instagram that a fourth Bad Boys movie is in the works. The third film, Bad Boys for Life, was released just 3 years ago. There is no information on a title or release date yet for number 4. Well, before we head to break, it's time to look at today's Look Who's 8.
Yeah, that's right, Duo. We got some to celebrate here today, and our first one is to Claire, who is turning 8 months, and Claire loves her big brother and trying new foods.
Adventurous girl.
Right?
Happy 8th birthday to Emma. Emma loves unicorns and spending time with her family.
Well, we also have a birthday here to celebrate for Katie, because she's turning 18 today. Now, Katie is a farm girl who loves all her animals, especially her horse matches.
If you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88, we'd love to feature them.
Yeah, just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and you want to look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website.
Well, stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your morning news now is up next. This music's always so fun.
I know, right? Just dance to it.
It's time for your morning news now. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is urging healthcare providers and consumers to stop using EzraCare artificial tear eye drops. The CDC is investigating at least 50 infections in 11 states that have led to permanent vision loss, hospitalization, and even 1 death. The CDC says people should stop using EzraCare artificial drops while their investigation continues. It seems like brewers have seen it all since the pandemic began. They faced bottle and can shortages, weak hop and barley crops, and now carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is what's used to make beer bubbly, and the source of that shortage dates back to the start of the pandemic. Carbon dioxide comes from a variety of sources, but it's also a byproduct of ethanol.
Oil prices plummeted, so a lot of ethanol plants weren't profitable to run, so they stopped running them, which meant we didn't recapture that CO2.
Bart Watson of the Brewers Association says low supply levels hit everyone, but smaller breweries like the ones in La Crosse are often hit the hardest. It can be hard to get out and get moving, especially in the bitter, bitter cold and winter time, but UWL students are hoping to help Elder community members stay active. Starting next week, you can walk with an eagle. AARP is collaborating with a class for a once-a-week stroll with people on campus. Those who sign up will be paired with a student. An assistant professor says this will help benefit everyone.
We know that walking is great for our physical, mental, cognitive, but we also know that we can also increase our social connections. So connect to the campus community, connect to our students, and also gives our students an opportunity to kind of apply what they learn in the classroom.
The first walk happens on February 7th in the Student Union. Walks will happen indoors until the weather gets warmer. We have a link to register on our website, news8000.com. La Crosse is celebrating a civil rights legend's birthday in a special way. This Saturday is Rosa Parks' birthday, and throughout the week, La Crosse MTU will honor it with their Transit Equity Days. Community members can ride buses for free through Saturday, and local politicians will ride along to raise awareness about the civil right to transportation. A member of the La Crosse Area Transit Advocates Group says having access to public transportation is just as important as the right to water and shelter.
What kind of a community would we be if we say, sorry, if you can't get to the doctor, that's too bad, and leave it at that? I really do think that a community has an obligation to ensure that its citizens can get to places they need to go.
On Tuesday, County Board Representative Ralph Geary had a seat on one of MTU's many buses. He says he looks forward to Transit Equity Days every year to help spotlight an important asset to the community. SMRT buses are free all day today. The city of La Crosse is cutting their warming shelter hours short. The last day of the shelter at the Southside Neighborhood Center is today instead of Thursday, February 2nd. If you or someone you know needs help finding shelter, call 211 or the Reach Center. That number is on your screen.
And as you head out the door this morning, keep in mind, even though there's no wind chill advisories in place, it's still a little cool and chilly out there as temperatures are in the single digits through at least 9 o'clock this morning. Now by 11, we warm up into the teens and we'll be in the 20s as we head into the afternoon with south-southwest winds pretty light at around 5 to 10. 8-day forecast showing us that we'll keep our temperatures in the 20s for our highs through tomorrow, and then another but brief cool down is on the way for Friday. Right after that, though, we're going to warm up into the 30s this weekend and into next week.
All right, so two things. I see that 38. That looks fantastic.
Yeah. It's a heat wave for that time of year.
Oh, yeah, Midwestern heat wave.
Right.
The other thing, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
On Thursday, what's your prediction?
I
feel like that should be a requirement for meteorologists to make a prediction about Groundhog Day.
Okay.
Yes, that's also
Sure.
part of Derek's forecast. Let us know. Call News 8 and let us know if Derek should be letting everyone know whether we're going to get more winter. What's your guess right now, though?
I'm going to say he's not going to see his shadow.
Okay, so if he doesn't see his shadow, we get 6 more weeks of winter?
You know, honestly, I can't even remember. I don't even know why I guess. I don't really pay attention to that.
Oh, darn. All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for watching News 8 Now. Don't forget to keep up with us on the News of the Day app on news8000.com. And we'll have the latest updates on today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. Have a great day. Please enjoy this video of City Cam. It's so gorgeous outside. We're starting to see that sunrise. Keeping up.